Commence primary ignition.
Hello, I'm Mary Oyaya. I play Jedi Master Luminara Ujuli in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and you're watching the Virtual Cantina Network.
Thank you, Mary.
It's our mom figure to
Yeah.
start the show off.
Miss, I don't care if my Padawan lives or dies. It's fine.
Yeah. I
No
still haven't
wonder.
watched Tales of the Empire yet. It's queued up, and every time I sit down to watch it, I have a almost 3-year-old come patting in, and I'm like, kid, I
This
love
is
that you want to
not-
watch this, but like I gotta watch this one first.
Yeah.
I gotta vet this one to make sure that this is
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
which I know it's not gonna be okay to show her. So
Yeah. I watched the
so
first
haven't
2
seen it.
episodes of Morgan Elsbeth, and not kid friendly. Such violence.
Yeah, I mean, I think even with like going into it from the previews, I was like, yeah, this is not going to be one we show the kid yet, but I want to watch it, so I got to figure out like how I'm gonna sneak that in around her
iPad
party.
in the bed while she's sleeping.
Seriously,
With
it's
the
gonna have
earbuds
to be something. Because yeah, that's like one of the projects I've been pretty excited for and haven't seen it, so I'll have to get on that. But anyway,
Yeah.
hi y'all. We're just gonna vamp for a few minutes, wait for everybody to get logged in.
Yeah,
Welcome
it's been
to
a hot
another-
minute.
I know it's been like a weird month. It's like we got a little bit. Hi, John. Listen, I'm actually honestly like, listen, Tales of the Empire. The whole reason why I'm invested in it is the Barriss Offee stuff. Because you know my opinions on Ahsoka and that whole thing. So yeah, really, I'm here for Barriss Offee, and I really want to see that story kind of come to light. But anyway, the last month has been real wacky. Like we were off for a week because of were we off for May the 4th? Was that why we got thrown off, or was it the Bad Batch finale?
Yes, and
Either way,
it was
yeah. So we got the boot from the network for a couple weeks just because of everything going on. So we're back. We're here. We're not gone. Just
doing
had
karate.
Had some weird. We were doing karate. Is what we were doing. That's exactly what we were doing.
Yeah. But we had a lot of good content happen this month. We got the Acolyte trailer, which looks amazing. I got to see The Phantom Menace on the big screen for the first time last night, and they had a short little clip of the assassin going against Jedi Master Endara, Carrie-Anne Moss, and let me tell you, that looks fun. I am excited.
I think I'm gonna, and this is gonna be really hard for me because like we're less than a month out now from the Acolyte, and I think I'm just gonna go into a blackout on it until the episode stream, because they're supposed to be doing the first 2 episodes in theaters, and I think I might try to find a friend, because I was supposed to go see The Phantom Menace in theaters. It was playing everywhere down here because Disney.
Of course.
Life kind of happened and I didn't get to do it. But then when I heard that they were doing the Acolyte in theaters, I'm like, you know what? I think I want to make like that my movie theater experience, because I've seen The Phantom Menace, I think, twice now in theaters. I mean, once like when it first came out with my dad. And then I feel like I saw it again. Did they bring it back to theaters again? Did I make that up? I don't remember.
I don't know. Probably.
But yeah, The Acolyte is supposed to be coming to theaters for the first 2 episodes, and I'm really about that.
I didn't know that, so I'm gonna have to do some hunting. But with my luck, it'll probably be in like New York City or Boston or something like.
Yeah, I haven't seen
away.
any dates or anything like announced, like for how they're gonna do it, or if it's select theaters, or if it's like just one day only. Like, I don't know, but I read something about it, and I really want to do it.
You should. That'd be so fun. And I'm telling you, like the fight scene that I saw, like this was just the beginning of a fight scene, and it was pretty cinematic. Like this is like Matrix. I'm excited.
I The whole High Republic fandom is just on deeply high alert right now. We are all
You guys are
we are all
having a very big month with like the Kyber crystals, with
we're having a pretty big
this.
month. The
Yeah.
surprise release for May the 4th at Galaxy's Edge was the clamshell version of the Stellan Geos lightsaber. We got not one, not two, but 3 female Jedi Kyber crystals in the Wave 2 of the Kyber crystal boxes or canisters.
And how many did you get from your lovely
My almost
Padawan?
3-year-old, I always let I always let my kid pick blind bags for me, always. Like, she gets the biggest kick out of it. She thinks it's so fun. She doesn't
Aw.
know what doesn't know what it's about, but she just likes like tearing things open and seeing the surprise inside. So yesterday we went to go visit some friends and we picked up 3 of them. I let her choose. We got 2 white ones and a yellow one. And we got 2 Orla Juranis, which was like incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And we got Indira Stokes. So I'm only missing 1 High Republic Kyber crystal now. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a
Yeah.
very uneventful Mother's Day, but thank you so much. Just call me Ursa Wren. No, just kidding. Don't call me Ursa Wren.
You're not Ursa Wren. You will never be
No,
Ursa Wren, my friend.
no.
Nope, nope.
I did have this like fleeting thought though around like, because I've had some friends that are working on Sabine armor. And I was like, this is like the perfect opportunity to commission an Ursa Wren kit, and then we could be Ursa and Sabine. And then I was like, I don't know, Ursa's a lot. She's like a whole thing, so I don't know if I want to do that, but
She's a whole
we'll
damn thing.
see. She's a whole damn thing.
I've never been both simultaneously disgusted and proud of a woman within a single episode as I was of Ursa Wren.
It's true. The emotional whiplash there is a lot.
You sold your child to the Empire and then had the nerve to berate her for betraying you, and then you shoot Gar Saxon and everything is forgotten. It's silly.
But she's got that sick armor, so I mean,
I
going purely on
know.
aesthetics, it's a pretty
So
sick
cool.
kit.
Yes.
That yellow and silver is really something.
Mark, preach.
I mean, I get it. Listen, I'm not here to defend any actions. I get it, but I'm mostly in it for the aesthetics.
Exactly. The owl armor is so cool. And
Yeah.
what I liked the most about like the little clip episodes that we got is from our last show, sorry, Forces of Destiny, is that we see Sabine beefing up Tristan's armor in her art style, and like, forget you, Boba Fett, prototype armor, Empire scum. We got this thing, and it's gonna be
decorate it.
Gonna decorate the crap out of it.
It kind of makes you wonder, like, I just topic in the chat. Do we wish Ursa Wren a happy Mother's Day? Happy Mother's Day to everyone but you, Ursa Wren. Although there are probably some other equally questionable mothers in Star Wars.
And we will get to them.
We're gonna get to them. I know this was a very apropos like start to this
segue
show. Like, God, we couldn't have planned that better if we tried.
Right. Thanks, Mark. Oh, Lonnie says, I heard Asajj is in a red Kyber crystal now too.
She is.
Yeah.
So for full transparency, I don't do the Kyber crystals. I really don't. This is my first time buying them only because of the High Republic characters.
It's a necessity.
Because Orla Jareni is like hands down one of my all-time favorite characters. And I've been on this incredible, and I have 2, which is appropriate because she has a dual-bladed lightsaber. It like folds in half and it's got 2 blades and it's very cool.
Sick.
So getting 2 of those, I wasn't mad about that. But anyway, it's been fun because
oh, John, yes, burn.
As you all know, my breakneck reading schedule, it's been wild because I jumped out of Legends and now I'm back in canon, and I just finished Padawan, which the Obi-Wan Kenobi story. It's a fairly newer publish. And like there's all this High Republic content in there, and now I'm reading Dooku Jedi Lost, and there's even more High Republic content in there, and I'm just like, what a time to be alive.
Dooku's a really good book. Like, I enjoyed that one, so I think you will.
I want to listen to it. I'm 3/4 of the way through it, so I've really enjoyed it so far. But I think I want to listen to it. Cavan Scott, I think, is my favorite writer for Star Wars right now, and he writes these incredible dramas. Not even just for Star Wars. Like, I'm not a Doctor Who person, but like he's written radio dramas for Doctor Who, and
Yeah.
he's really well known and good at it. And yeah, I've really enjoyed Dooku, but it's been a good month for High Republic fans, so we're just chugging along. Yes, in Dooku Jedi Lost, they're like blink and you miss it kind of references to the High Republic. But everybody's kind of freaking out right now without getting into spoilers, because if you subscribe to Cavan Scott's newsletter, he's written a lot for the High Republic, but he is like almost single-handedly responsible for the High Republic comics. And Keeve Trennis is kind of like his like big character that he really focuses in writing. And his newsletter just dropped a maybe accidental spoiler about what's going on with Keeve. But it's really not a spoiler, because if you read Jedi Lost, Yoda actually makes an off the cuff comment about exactly this, and that book was published years ago. So
Yeah.
it's just wild to see everything kind of like come full circle, because you know that these authors have been sitting on these stories for years at this
Oh,
point,
that's
and now they're finally coming
exciting.
to fruition.
Okay, cool.
So
I'm
yeah,
fond of
there's some
this.
really cool stuff happening in those, and
All right.
all the Disney canon books now, I guess it's fair game for any of this stuff to come in. So I think, I can't remember our schedule, but I feel like one of our upcoming shows we're going to talk about Vernestra.
Mhm.
Did I make that up?
It's on the
No,
list.
that's a thing. Yeah, it's on the
It's
list.
the thing. It's
So
happening.
before we get to Acolyte,
We're gonna cover
I'll
Vernestra.
scream for an hour about Vernestra Row. It'll be totally normal. Very fine.
Just
Totally
keep
normal.
your volume low, guys. You know, and go deaf.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's
They'll
gonna
be
be great.
screaming.
And you know what? Another appropriate topic for today, because she's the mom friend. So
Yeah.
she's everybody's mom friend.
Okay. So yeah, that episode is definitely coming up. Mark, thank you for confirming.
Yeah, I was like, I know we talked about it. I don't know.
So mothers in Star Wars. I feel like for a long time we just got orphans. Yeah,
Yeah.
orphans.
Yeah.
Like if you lost your mother, lost your father, lost both of your parents, growing up in the desert, raised by your aunt and uncle, raised by your adopted parents.
It's the Disney princess syndrome.
Yeah,
They're all dead.
George Lucas just kind of fed right into that, and I guess it worked out. So what better place to begin with the woman that started it all, Padme Amidala.
Yeah. Actually, I thought you were even going to go further back. I thought you were going to go Shmi Skywalker.
We'll get to her.
Okay.
But as
all
far
right,
as
we can start with Padme.
Yeah, we'll start with Padme because she's the mother of modern Star Wars. Like she kicked off the Skywalker saga, and well, Padme, Padme, to the weird stuff is like I felt like she just kind of, and I don't know whether or not it was Darth Sidious Palpatine messing with her life force to just kind of um, kill her while turning Anakin to the dark side. Um, I felt like she kind of gave up once things with Anakin himself. Like as much as,
I'm good.
yeah, I mean, as much as they grow Padme's character out in the Clone Wars, as far as like the prequels go, I'm like, girl, like you are a fucking queen, you are a senator, you run this galaxy, and you're phoning it in for a guy with emotional damage, like whiny baby syndrome. Like, I'm sorry, I know a lot of you love Anakin, but it was just like, girl, you are forgetting who you are for this man. I swear to God. Just
He's
because
a
you're
person. His
pregnant.
name's Anakin. It's fine.
But I see how this is probably me on my soapbox after watching Phantom Menace again and watching her just like rally the troops on Naboo, get those guys to like stop the Trade Federation from like taking over the trade routes and stopping supplies from getting to Naboo, giving a shit about her planet, doing all that, and then just where she ends up. It's just it's catastrophic to me.
Padme is a character that I feel like if we had just invited more women to the writing table, we would have had a very different Padme.
Oh, agreed.
I I so I love Padme. I love Padme, but my love for Padme as a young person watching the prequel trilogy in theaters with my dad, I think I was fascinated by Padme based on the aesthetics. Like, so it was like, oh my gosh, look at these incredible costumes and look at her face and
Yeah.
look at all the, look at, this very
'Cause she
unique
was
kind of character.
regal and
Yeah.
beautiful and strong, and it was just so appealing when you're that age. It's like, "Oh, I
But
wanna
my
be her."
Yeah, and my love of Padme, I don't think really started until the Clone Wars. Yes, I think, seeing her
Yeah,
definitely come more into her own in the Clone Wars and seeing her
absolutely.
be more defined and have more of a hand in everything that was going on. But I think really my love for Padme was solidified in the E.K. Johnston books.
Mhm.
Um,
They're
and
so
E.K.
good.
Johnston, I would say, is she's probably not my favorite. Well, she's definitely not my favorite Star Wars writer. But I really did enjoy that trilogy because I loved seeing the brilliance behind the handmaidens
Mhm.
and seeing how instrumental she was in her handmaidens being trained up and the cleverness around using the handmaidens as her bodyguards and everything. I just think was really fascinating, and it just gave her so much more dimension because you're seeing that this is not just a frivolous like queen or senator. Like she's pretty tactically brilliant. And I think that was something that we just didn't really, either we didn't have the time for it or it didn't happen in the prequel trilogy. So
The sad
um
part is it's as much as she contributes to the future of Star Wars, I don't think George Lucas quite knew what to do with her once she hooked up with Anakin. It's just she became background fodder, like damsel in
yeah.
distress, background fodder.
And to Lanny's point, I think it's also really hard to capture the type of character that Leia was because, Leia being introduced in the late 70s was such a she was such a unique character in science fiction in the 1970s, I think, that it was really
Yeah.
hard to kind of capture that lightning in a bottle again in
Oh, yeah.
the late 90s, because yeah, late 90s. Um
But
and
this
I
is
just
a
don't
very
think
good point.
yeah, I don't it is. It's just I don't know, like it was just harder to capture. Maybe the focus just was never supposed to be on Padme, but it kind of had to be because of the relationship with Anakin. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. And I
I
love the
just
prequels.
yeah. I think a lot of what Leia became, and we'll get into her in this, but a lot of what Leia became was also driven by Carrie. And I think she had the relationship with George where, and especially in later part of the series, where she could be like, no, Leia's going to do this. Like she kind of was able
Mhm.
to like speak up a little more. And I think Padme had to die. It was like the catalyst for Anakin turning to the dark side, although it was his fault, and um, everything else. But it was like something that had to happen. But I think both George and Dave Filoni fleshing her out and giving her more credibility and more strength and more badassery in the Clone Wars. I think that was just like, okay, let's go back and flesh this woman out. Um, give her that show where Leia came from, like, show where that strength that's imbued in Leia came from. And, Anakin's reckless and tough, and Luke's got a lot of that, but I feel like Padme's more calculated and
Mm.
she's warm and caring towards people, and she always does the right thing or tries to. And I think that's speaks out to who Leia is as well, whether or not, it's nature versus nurture, but it's some of that, feeling can be ingrained in someone even though they've never met.
And it's funny because when I think of the Skywalker twins, I actually see it almost as the opposite. I feel like in a lot of ways, Luke kind of inherited a lot more of Padme's sort of gentler, more curious side and more playful side in a lot of ways. And I feel like Leia got sort of more of Anakin's temper in a lot of ways, like more of her sort of like commanding, like
You're
sort
demoted.
of
Slap.
recklessness, but like in the best possible way. Like I don't know, how do you say like recklessness, but with the best intentions? Because
Um,
um, you know,
thoughtful recklessness. We'll just go with that.
yeah. So that's always how I kind of felt. Like that's always how I kind of saw it. Is like especially when Obi-Wan Kenobi came out and we finally got to meet like little Luke and little Leia, like
Yeah.
I looked at little Leia and I was like, "Oh shit, she's definitely Anakin." Like that's worrying.
Yeah, see,
um
Mark is calling it in the chat right now, so that's
and
cool.
then with um Luke, I think he definitely has some diplomacy in him, and obviously, like, in the books, it's so much more focused on, like, he's the Jedi and Leia is the diplomat, like, but I think that he has a lot of Padme's kind of nature in him as well.
Mhm.
I don't know. I do love Padme. I think Padme, and we've done a whole episode about her and how for a long time I really do feel like she was very much like she's like, oh, she's the Star Wars fashion plate. Like, look at how visually interesting she is. But we didn't really get a ton of introspective sort of commentary on her, I feel like, until the Clone Wars. So um yeah, the qualities that came from your mother, uh speech that Obi-Wan
Oh,
gives little Leia at the end is
yeah.
really beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, but I do agree that it the details came from the books and the details came from the side media that weren't the movies.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
poor Padme in that movie, in that trilogy, was like, oh, and she died of a broken heart.
Oh my god, I
Oh,
remember my ex-mother-in-law, like, we were sitting in the theater watching that movie, and she's like, "What's wrong with this airhead? You got babies," and it's like, "Oh, she lost the will to live," and she's, like, muttering under her breath, and I'm like, "Shh, this is crazy, like, this is the babies."
it
But
is,
yeah,
and it's, but I think we all knew, obviously, it's like watching Rogue One, like, everybody's gonna die. Like, we knew
yeah,
that Padme had to die, so
yeah,
I I don't know. I wonder if there wasn't a better way to do it, but
right.
certainly didn't enjoy seeing her get force choked when she was pregnant. That was a whole thing.
Dummy, absolute dummy. I'm just,
Didn't
oh,
like that.
no. If
um
anything, I feel like that's probably the most insulting piece in Star Wars to me. Like, forget how much people clutch their pearls at The Last Jedi. No, that is the most insulting thing in Star Wars to me. Like that's how she goes down. Are you serious? Like, that's so rude. But
she had a cool funeral, I guess. I'm just like,
Ahsoka
how
got
do I
to
even paint
go.
this in a better
Oh,
picture?
oh, that's awful.
Um
Um,
See, and when I think of like when I think of like an iconic and a strong and a selfless mother, I think the one the quietest one, I think, is the one that always gets like the most overlooked, but I think she really does embody those behaviors or those traits, is Shmi Skywalker.
absolutely.
Um I think there's a tremendous amount of gravity in the moment where she realizes that she hasn't been freed, but that Anakin has been freed, and that she basically is just handing her son, her only child, that she's
Her whole
protected and tried to
world.
keep safe in these terrible circumstances,
Yeah.
to these space wizards, and is like, "All right, Qui-Gon, here you go." But she doesn't, she remains strong through it. And she's like, never, don't look back, like only look forward, don't look back. And just all up to the very last moments that she spends with her son is just encouraging him to move forward and embrace his destiny and take this opportunity to be free, even though she herself is not. Um, I just think she's just such a tremendously unsung hero. And, there's a lot of jokes flying around about like she's the single mom because the Force is Anakin's dad. Star Wars is so stupid. I love it so much.
So
God, it's so
weird.
stupid.
Such religious overtones.
But
Yeah.
she embraces, every challenge that she's kind of thrown under with the goal of doing the right thing for her child.
Yeah.
And I think
And you
that's the
can
epitome
see
of
her.
what motherhood is.
Absolutely. You see her struggle, and, she's a little sad that, like, she's going to miss him. It's everything she's lived for has been this little boy. And, you know, to have him be whisked away by these, as you said, space wizards, and thrust into a life unknown where, you don't know what's going to happen to him. It's it's sad, but she has faith, and you can tell, like, she's like, this will be a better life for you. I've dreamed of this day. I've dreamed of you, you know, experiencing a better life, and you just see the hope in her face, and I think that helps him to be strong because he's so little and
Well, and you can
9 years
argue that
old.
the whole saga wouldn't have happened without her. I mean, she's the only
Yeah.
character that you can honestly say, like, without Shmi Skywalker, none of this exists.
Exactly.
And I think that that's, because she's in so little of the movie, and there isn't really a ton of like side media that features her.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to forget that without Shmi Skywalker, we don't have any of this.
Exactly. Lonnie says Shmi is the ultimate mother.
I think she's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I would agree. Like, and going into this, like, and really thinking about, like, all right, like, who is my favorite Star Wars mother? And like the obvious answer, everyone's like, oh, she's gonna say Hera. And I'm like, yeah, all right, fine, I'm gonna say Hera. But like, I think Shmi is exactly the type of mother that motherhood is kind of all about. You make the tough choices for your kid. You do what's right for your kid.
Yeah.
Always, every time. So,
and it's
I
the
don't know. I'm
epitome
just
of
saying.
putting your child first. Like, you're both sold into slavery, and your son has the ability to be freed, and you selflessly stay in slavery so your son can have a better life. And
then, the other two unsung heroes, kind of in the same vein of what we're talking about right now, and we've done shows on, well, one of them, we haven't done the Brea show, but like we talked fairly recently about Aunt Beru and Brea Organa.
yeah,
Our two adoptive mothers.
adopted mommies. Yes.
Sorry, I'm like watching the chat and trying to put together a coherent thought at one time, and clearly that last brain cell is like just jumped ship from my ear. So it's been a week. But yeah, I think Shmi was underrated and absolutely selfless, but I also don't think that there's a ton of focus on Beru and Brea. Again, if you read Leia, Princess of Alderaan, who wrote that one? That was Claudia Gray. Claudia Gray wrote Leia, Princess of Alderaan. There is some incredible Brea content in there.
So worth reading.
And what I love about Brea Organa is that there was never really like the fact that she adopted, she and Bail adopted Leia was never a secret. Like, it was never something that they were like, trying to hide or cover up or whatever. They obviously protected the identity of who her parents were, but like Leia always knew that she was adopted, but she was never treated as anything less than this
Absolutely.
daughter that these two people just so desperately wanted.
And the
Bail and Brea desperately wanted a child.
Yeah, it's an elevated love for a child that's not yours, when you can give them everything and give them the knowledge that yes, you are adopted, but you're here because you're wanted and you're loved.
Mm-hmm.
It gives her a sense of peace, and obviously she finds out who her brother is later, and obviously her father, but it allows her to grow. And I think it's like, okay, I'm not of this world, but I still care about the people on my planet, and I still care about people in the galaxy. So it allows her to have a bigger mindset than like just a central core family in a little tiny corner of the universe.
So much of Star Wars too, especially modern Star Wars, I feel like really focuses on like found family and like finding your people, right? And like, while adoption is very much like the literal definition of like a found family, I think that it's something that is sort of overlooked, and how it takes a tremendous amount of selflessness to say like, this isn't my child, but this is my child. And what's so great about Brea, especially in that Leia Princess of Alderaan book, is that she doesn't let Leia get away with anything. Like, she holds it at a very high standard. Yeah, we see it in Kenobi. She's held to that very high standard. She's held to all the same rules that are traditional on Alderaan. She's held to all the same milestones and challenges and trials that are, traditional to children on Alderaan. And she's just, given this lifestyle. Like, this is who you are, and we're doing this because we love you, and we're doing this because we want you to have the best shot at being successful, wherever you may end up after this.
Yeah, she could be rich and spoiled like her cousin,
but
instead she's got a lot of heart, and she dishes it out when stuff is being thrown at her. Um, and I love that fire, and I love that spunk, and as you said, it's very much Anakin. Anakin was like the king of
Yeah.
sarcasm, as we see in
Yeah.
Clone Wars, and but she has the diplomacy and the love that Padme had, um, and I think having Bale and Brea kind of guide that with her, and it's like, okay, you're a princess, but we're not going to spoil you. We're not going to give you a pimp. You are going to have a
Oh no, we lost
people
Ashley.
that are suffering. Oh,
Okay, she's back. No, you're
I'm
back.
here.
You're back.
Okay, weird. I was like,
We each get one of those. I got mine last show. You got yours this show.
yeah,
Everybody gets one of those frozen screen moments.
yeah. It's
And the flip side, our last show, no, not our last show, the show before that, we talked about Aunt Beru,
yes.
and how God, what an unsung hero in Star Wars. Like, I'm just thinking back on that show now, and I was like,
It was so good.
I remember going into that show initially being concerned that we weren't gonna have enough content to fill an hour talking about Aunt Beru, and then we were like overtime on the Aunt Beru show.
We're professionals. we'll dig it up.
But I think in a franchise that is rife with literal wizards, space wizards, Jedi, right? And military minds and people constantly at war and desperately bad guys and good guys too. Like the quiet characters like an Aunt Beru and a Brea Organa and a Shmi Skywalker really sometimes get lost in that shuffle. And those are the people that, while they may not be out there flying an X-Wing, or they may not have a lightsaber, or they may not be, the focus of the story, without those small characters, we don't have a story.
Absolutely.
And Beru, in our show about Beru, we talked about how all she ever really wanted was for people to just be comfortable. She wanted people to be happy, safe, comfortable, and wanted. And that's what she gave to Luke. As a mother. And I think that those qualities like absolutely shone through in Luke in other ways too. Yeah, we don't win without those characters. We absolutely don't win without the quiet, supportive, unsung heroes.
Strength.
In Star Wars. We definitely don't. And I think that's such a testimony to like how many of these maternal characters we have to talk about, and knowing that we're not going to get through even all of them in this show, because these characters don't get a lot of screen. Well,
we still got
many
a
of
half
them don't get a
hour.
lot
We
of
can do
screen
this.
We're gonna bust through it.
We're gonna go.
But even like I know somewhere up in the chat, we were given Lyra Orsa.
John says we didn't see very much of her, but I feel like Lyra
Urso, there she is. Yeah,
fits into that mold too. Yes, so you see her like over there.
Same, yeah, there she is. Same kind of qualities in a lot of ways as Shmi Skywalker. She literally like threw Jin out. She's like, go, save yourself.
Now it was. I want to know more about Lyra, because I feel like her giving Jin the Kyber crystal and telling her to trust the Force. It's like, what's up with you? Like, were you a guardian of the will? Like, where did you come from? So I want to know like more about Lyra. And I hope someday, whether it be in literature form or even if it's like another Tales of snippet, I want to know. Like, this is like probably like the main.
I saw something recently about how, and it honestly could have been with the commercial failure of Solo, which is a film that I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah, I love Solo. It was so fun.
I wouldn't say I loved it, but it was fun. Like I had fun sitting in the theater watching it.
It's very dark. Like cinematically very dark. But
so the question came up, will we ever see more Star Wars movies under that sort of title of a Star Wars story? So we had like Rogue One, a Star Wars story, Solo, a Star Wars story. So I think, if we move away from the Jedi and we move away from the sort of the cinematic conflict with the Empire and really focus more on these like side stories, I would love to see some fleshing out of Lyra's, or characters like Lyra or Lyra herself, those stories. Maybe the audience, like honestly, maybe the way to do it is this like whole Tales of thing that they're doing now with the Tales of the Jedi and the Tales of the Empire. Like, I don't know.
But the fact that when she passes Chirrut and Chirrut knows that she's wearing a kyber crystal, and he, instead of saying, "Oh, you stole that from us. You're not a guardian of the will. Why do you have that? You're not a Jedi. Why do you have that?" He's supportive of her. He's like, "The strongest hearts are made of kyber," and it's like, I kind of want to know more. Like, is Lyra like descended or like related to the Guardians of the Will? Was she one before she met Galen? I want to know, and I think she gives so much strength in her final sacrifice to setting Jyn on the right path and giving her something to believe in, despite losing her mother and ultimately like her father to the Empire. And she's a child and she goes through a lot on that day, and a lot stuck in a bunker waiting
Can
for
we include
Saw
Saw Gerrera as like an honorary mom?
Can we count him? Yeah, I guess we can. We'll get to him in a second. Yeah, we totally can. I was
Honorary
16.
mom.
You stuck me in a bunker with a blaster, and I was trying to protect you. Yeah, we'll get to him in a second. But oh, okay. So Mark says in the Rogue One source book, they explain that her red belt and kyber crystal indicate that Lyra has studied the Force. So that kind of leads in that pathway.
Let me tell you, there is so much story potential, and like we're scratching the surface of it now, and I feel like we're getting more of it, and like I'm just greedy and want more of it. But like there's so much talk about Jedha now in all of this, like in all these like side stories, and pretty much all of phase 2 of the High Republic takes place on Jedha. So like you see all of these different Force users and Force scholars and Force people laying stake to Jedha and talking about like how they experience the Force and how they use the Force and things like that. And I'm like, then I hear stuff like this where I'm like, all right, so this is Lyra like was apparently like one of these kinds of folks, and I'm like, why aren't we getting more of those stories? And realistically, it's because I don't, the faster they crank out these stories, the worse they're going to be. So like, I'm fine with getting this story in like 2030, like so down the road.
John says, does Saw fit the role of the drunk uncle to Jyn?
I mean, yeah.
The sacrificial drunk uncle. But like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he's got all them cables and wires just sticking out.
He's more machine than man now.
He's more machine than man now. But every time I look at it, it just looks like vacuum cleaner tubing to me, and I'm like, this is just such a thing. But okay, anyway.
Yeah, but
yeah, Jedha is great.
When Lyra gets shot in front of Jyn, it's probably like the worst thing in the world. I think it's probably one of the cruelest mother deaths in Star Wars. Like obviously Padme got choked out by Anakin. Okay, that's up there, but at least it wasn't in front of the children, and the children were just kind of in tow. But I really and then you get Shmi. Okay.
I was gonna say there are a couple that are. I mean, the Shmi Skywalker death is pretty gruesome, and we don't really see it, so like.
She just dies in Anakin's arms, and then Anakin just loses his shit, and everybody dies.
Yeah,
so, once again, everybody dies when Anakin loses his shit. So
the book descriptions are a lot more upsetting, I think, than the visual, which is good because I don't think I ever want to like see some of the things I've read about Shmi's death. But anyway,
but having Lyra be that, which is the worst mother death in Star Wars, is sad. We have so many choices. It's awful, and I really wish they, like I said, the time for orphans is not good in this show. Yeah, looking at you, Rey Skywalker.
Everyone dies and it sucks. Everyone dies and it sucks.
Yeah, it's hard to pick one. It really is, and we don't even know what happened to poor Lady Syndulla. If you want to move on to her. So I feel like Eleni being a freedom fighter just kind of inspired Hera to fight back against the Empire. Her and her husband Cham and their people on Ryloth, everyone dies but Maul.
Ain't that the truth?
Somehow Maul returns.
Old spider legs himself.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have said too many times that the Bad Batch was not for me. However, the episodes with like on Ryloth with Hera's, childhood. I did enjoy it because if you know, you know, Hera Syndulla is my all-time favorite Star Wars character. Um,
Yep.
I love her a lot, and getting more of that backstory was lovely. And
Yeah.
I think Eleni, in a lot of ways, is an incredible mom, not just because of how she treated her children, because I mean, Hera did have a brother,
Mhm.
but also the way that she interacted with Cham. We, up until that point, are used to seeing Cham as this very
Cold.
black and white, cold,
Mhm.
like, aggressive. In a lot of ways, he's kind of a terrorist, right? Like, he's a freedom fighter, but like, he's a terrorist. And seeing Eleni's interactions with him soften all of those edges and make him a far more likable character. So I think when you have a character that has that kind of potential or that has those qualities, I think that's something really special. And I think to pass that along to a future generation is part of why we see Hera being who Hera is as opposed to Hera being who Cham was, because she very easily, with her thirst for freedom and her thirst for justice, she very easily could have turned into another Cham Syndulla, and it's
Yeah.
because of Eleni that she didn't.
Yeah.
So I think that's her legacy, is that she turned out a child who ended up becoming a key player in this rebellion, who managed, to balance both the military side of things with the humanitarian side of things. So I think that's an incredible legacy to pass on to her child.
Yeah. And her leadership and her strength, I think just as much as Cham like informed Hera how to be a leader but still be kind and still be soft and you know help others, like be compassionate towards others. And as you said, Cham is kind of cold and you know the militant hand of things against
Mm-hmm.
these empire crowds. And I think Eleni kept the spirit of Ryloth alive, and the kindness and the wanting more for their people than what the Empire could give, but also like compassion was there. And I think Hera inherited a lot from both of them. So yes, Lonnie says another example of a mom slash character with a quiet strength, and we don't get to see too much of her, which is again sad, but we see it in Hera.
I think they're going to save her for something else. I bet you they come back with something else with
Ooh.
Ryloth, because I feel like a lot of people wanted more of that, like, young Hera Ryloth situation.
I wanted to
Maybe
see
they
her
won't.
team up with Omega. Like I was hoping that Omega would
Yeah.
go join Hera, um, like at the end of the Bad Batch. So
Yeah,
who knows?
and I
Maybe
think
we'll see
everybody
Kanan.
wants that right now, because I didn't watch the finale, but like, I know what happened. So like, everyone's like, "Oh man, where's that team up?" And I'm like,
I was so bummed. I'm like, okay, she says that the rebellion needs pilots and she's gonna go, and I'm like, and she should meet up with Hera. Where's Hera? And Hera wasn't on the ship, of course, but
um,
still
hang
good.
on, sorry, I'm just looking at our list here. Did we? I'm sorry, did we overlook Marva from Andor?
We haven't gotten to her yet. I have
Okay.
her. I have her on my list. That's
Oh,
why I
okay,
didn't put
okay.
her.
I'm sorry. I was like, wait a minute, we're missing somebody,
We want
and
to say that probably the most revolutionary mom
literally
on
throw
this
a brick in
list.
a fascist face. Let's go.
Hell
Uh,
yeah, is Marva Andor.
because I was thinking about it, I'm like, I had a couple of more obscure ones on there. Like, Marva's not obscure, but I was like, wait, I don't see Marva.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad that we have
Yep.
Marva, and I have a High Republic one that we need to talk about too, because she's
I
another
was
unsung hero.
absolutely. I was really worried that when they first introduced Marva, that she would just be like, "Oh, she's kidnapping a child from another planet." But
No, wait, let's talk about Marva right now. Let's
okay,
just do Marva.
okay, we're gonna do this because we
I love
have to do this because she's a legend, absolutely legend. If you haven't watched Andor yet, which I doubt any of you haven't, yeah, Marva, Marva Andor, FTE, yes. Um,
I oh
oh,
man. Okay.
probably the most legendary speech that we've ever heard
Okay,
a
so
mother make in Star Wars.
the Andor is my favorite live action show. Full stop.
So good.
Just outrageously good.
It's your wee baby, Diego Luna.
Uh, hang on, I was just thinking about Star Tours again.
Okay,
Um
I
so
allowed you.
I I agree. Marva could have gone in a very different direction, right? Because all we see is this woman and this man literally picking up a native child from a planet that they don't belong on and saying, "You're
Yeah.
coming with me." So the potential there is a little bit like, "Ew, this is giving me the ick. I don't think I like this."
Yeah, it was tough. It was
And
really
it's
tough to
not the
watch.
ick. It's almost the
But when
exact
you
opposite.
right, when you find out that all the parents are gone, like they have been killed in that mine by the Empire, there's nothing but these tribes of children left, and they're slowly being poisoned because this planet is like rotting
Spencer,
out.
stop it. She's on my list. She's literally she was the next one I was going to
We're
talk
gonna
about when
get
we
to
talked about
Edie.
Marva.
We can't get this. Forget the space cereal. She's on the list, so we got her. But when she like takes Andor or Cassian out of their casa, she gives him not only a chance at survival that the kids probably would have lasted another year from the poisoning that was happening to their water supply, their food supply. So she saved him. And not only that, but like taught him to stand up for himself and granted he
And
still kind of has.
conveniently looked the other way when he was doing things that he probably shouldn't have been doing, but she would have done.
Oh yeah. To have her be like the daughters of the one of the original daughters of Ferrix and being so revered by the people of Ferrix that they have this huge state funeral for her when she does pass.
I even think so. I have like low key chills right now just
I
thinking
know.
of that scene and everything about the scene with Marva's death. I mean, like even leading up to it with like
The cops and
the cops and the bell, like when they start chiming when they start hammering on the bell.
yeah, chilling.
I was like, oh, something's gonna go down, something's gonna go down, something's gonna go down. And then that hologram speech when that riot starts and how furious I am that they could not get away with her saying fuck the Empire. um I
We know, Marva. We know.
it was it was everything I have desperately wanted Star Wars to be for so long up
Mm,
until that point because
yeah.
they turned the perspective from the movies. The movies were so focused on you know, rebellion versus empire that we didn't get a lot of the sort of like the on the ground response. Like we didn't know
Real
how
people.
real people were experiencing it until really Rebels, right? Like
Mhm.
we weren't seeing it coming from like the front lines or like the way that
Tarkin
um
Town. Yeah.
the general population was sort of
Yeah.
responding to this conflict. And seeing it in Andor and seeing it played out the way that it was, I mean, it is for me, and I know there's a lot of people didn't love Andor, they didn't like the pacing, whatever. I think Andor is some of the best and the most nuanced and the most beautiful storytelling in Star Wars.
Thought
And
provoking. Like lots of
it's
thought.
everything. It's not even just like Marva and Cassian, but like even thinking about, of course, the joke with Edie Karn and like Cyril Karn. But like here's somebody that is working for the Empire and also like isn't really in love with the way that the Empire is going. So like there's just there's so much nuance in Andor and there's so much commentary in Andor that it's one of those shows where I didn't feel good watching every episode. I felt very tense watching every episode,
Oh
but like
yeah.
I walked away from it thinking to myself like these are real people. Like
Yeah.
these are like real people in real conflict in really tough moments. And like yes, it's funny the space like I'll eat your cereal. Like the whole thing is like she's very much a stereotype. Like as a Jewish person, she sounds like all of my cousins. Like, this
It's
is,
Mrs.
my
Fig.
older cousins. Yeah. but Marva, I think, is just such an incredible example of leading the way and setting the example that you want your kids to uphold because she wasn't standing for any of that injustice shit. She
Yeah.
was not standing for any of that empire, any of that imperial stuff.
No. She gave a shit about her people, her planet. Um and granted she was a scavenger and
Yeah.
her like scavenging on Cass's planet and finding him and taking apart imperial things to sell in the black market. Yeah, like Cassian got it from somewhere, but at the same time, she instilled in him a sense of strength and belief and like this is wrong. What the Empire is doing is wrong, and we have to protect ourselves should they come this way. So having the daughters of Ferrix be united and just kind of like, I don't want to say war widows because, yeah, maybe some of them are and displaced and ended up on
I think
Ferrix because
it's
it's out of the way of the Empire up until this series. Um,
yeah.
but
I
I just really love the fact that she wanted him to get out of there and he didn't want to leave her, but she knew that his place was not there and he was meant for more than just being on Ferrix.
Listen, you could even argue if you want to take this a step further that without Marva, we would not have the plans to the Death Star. I'm just saying everything is a domino effect. So without
Absolutely.
Marva and her influence over Cassian,
Revolution. Yes.
you wouldn't have the plans to the Death Star. So I just think that that's oh God, I'm so ready for season 2 of Andor. I just read an interview that Bix is coming back, and I'm really stressed
Yeah.
out because Bix.
Bix
Oh,
went
I
through
hated
some
those
shit.
episodes so much.
She went through some hard shit. I was
Oh
so
God.
worried about our girl.
Okay.
Lonnie.
Sorry, I derailed us because I got
Yeah,
really
girl.
excited about Marva and Andor
I do have
and
to say,
then
after
Edie
Marva
Karn.
died, and this is totally a side note, but after Marva died and B being depressed,
Oh,
and
listen, I never want to see a droid be that sad ever again.
oh,
Terrible.
my B two emo. That's the reason why
I
he's
love
B two
him.
emo. Yeah. Love him.
um,
The fact that they called him B instead of like two
just
emo.
calling him emo.
B2 emo. He is B2. But I just if you compare Marva to Edie Karn, Marva, I think Marva obviously gave a shit about her son just as much as Edie did. But instead of like setting an example that Cassian couldn't live up to and just kind of nagging and pestering him into like being prestigious and having a good name and a good career and making her proud by doing all these horrible things by being part of the Empire and not thinking of his worth any more than that. It's like two sides of the mothering coin.
It's the
If there's
difference
two of
between
it.
helicopter parenting and letting your kid just kind of do what they need to do to survive.
Exactly. And Edie Karn is the quintessential helicopter parent. Like she was
Mhm.
stifling. Her episodes with her
Yes.
were claustrophobic. And
She
I'm
was a
not just
lot.
talking about that little apartment that they are shunted in. She was very claustrophobic. Yeah, very dependent on her. And it's
Yeah.
disturbing. It's so disturbing to watch, but
Yeah.
she's so good. She's so good. So shout out to the actress who plays Edie. I'm sorry, I don't know her name right now off the top of my head, but I know she played Mrs. Fig in Harry Potter. So she had a lot of
Okay.
cats.
We have 7 minutes to hammer through.
So let's just get.
Who have we talked about?
There's one mother we have not talked about.
You're either going to say Hera or Leia.
Can we cover them both in 7 minutes?
Probably not. Pick one.
Okay, we're gonna go with Leia.
I knew you were going to say Leia. Okay, go.
Because we know Hera. We've gone over it obviously on this show. How much Hera is a space mom. She not only helped raise Zeb, Ezra, and Sabine, but also Jason, and kind of, put them on the right path. But with Leia, her son has a lot of prophecy tangled in him, being the grandson of Darth Vader, being a Skywalker child for all intents and purposes, and a solo child. So you get that scoundrel side of you, and you got, the strongest name in the Force. It just had so many complications for her as a mother because Luke had that premonition that he would go bad, and she gave up being a Jedi to protect her son, according to Rise of Skywalker, the movie I've only seen once.
I'll let you talk about this.
Yeah. Feel free to pipe in when you want, but like the scene where he's in The Last Jedi, where he's about to blow up the transport ship, and she senses him and he senses her, and he decides to not blow up the ship, but then another one of his TIE fighters blows up the ship and sends her out of space. You kind of feel for him in that moment because he wasn't going to do what he was set out to do because he felt the strength of his mother. Like, he loved his mother. His mother was there for him as much as he had daddy issues with Han being Han. Like, he was strongly connected to his mother. And I think it was sad that it ended up the way it did with her getting sucked out into space and somehow surviving. But it took took a lot out of her. It really
I hate
did.
it so much. Oh,
I know.
I hate it so much.
That's the only thing that bugs me about The Last Jedi. It really does, but I understand.
So my view of parenting with Leia and my view of motherhood with Leia is actually something that I've personally struggled with, and it comes from her Legends interpretation rather than her film interpretation. So in Legends, she has Jason and Jaina and Anakin, and one of the hardest things for her is to balance her professional life and her political life against her family. And it's like, go figure, the one of the most important and relevant politicians in the entire galaxy suddenly becomes like major target for her kids to get kidnapped and for her kids to, be targets and her kids to need extra protection and things like that. And seeing her struggle with making the choices between her career and her family, but always choosing her family every time, even sometimes at the cost of the galaxy in certain cases, or having to work harder to protect the galaxy because she wants to protect her children, I think is something that's really relevant as a parent, and something that's really something I think every parent has really struggled with. But what I love so much about Leia in the books is that she understands that her children are, they're force sensitive. They're children. They're a little on the rambunctious side. They're definitely troublemakers, but she never really tries to stop them. She kind of just lets them experience childhood and lets them try to have the quote most normal childhood they can as the force sensitive children of her and Han Solo, but just seeing the way that her children kind of thrive and seeing the way that her children interact with like different planets, different worlds, different aliens, and seeing her put the faith and the trust in them to just sort of be good little humans, like just be good little people, I think is something that resonates with me, having a good little person that I'm responsible for, because I want to have faith in my kid and I want my kid to do the right thing. And
I think you do. Like, you let her explore and find the things that she loves, but you guide her. And I think that's what Leia does with her children as well.
Absolutely. And I think, with Leia, there's no stifling of her children or their talents or their passions or their interests. She kind of just lets them roll with it. So, Lanny, the kids appear a lot at varying ages, and the kids, as they get older, end up becoming a lot more relevant to the timeline. The
whole thing.
Jedi Academy trilogy they're in. They're in the, oh my god, my brain is fried right now. I can get you a list, but yeah, Jason, Jaina, and Anakin. Anakin especially is a fun one because he's the youngest, and he is his force sensitivity has to do with machines and machinery. So like he's constantly messing around with ships and with droids, and he's kind of a cutie. As they get older, the story gets a lot more complicated because Jason takes the Ben Solo route. But in a way that I think is more interesting.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about the I did not like what they did with the sequel trilogy, but Jason becomes a not great guy. And Jaina has some tough choices to make because it's her twin. So, yeah, good stuff. But
so if you ever wondered what it would be like if Luke and Leia were on opposite ends of the war here, the Star War, this is
the Star War.
Jason and Jaina for sure. Yeah. And my friend Pete actually named his daughter Jaina after Jaina Solo, so that's really cool.
Yeah, the kids are great. The kids, some of those books get really slow. They can be hard reads because they start to kind of get slow, but the kids always end up making it a lot of fun. My favorite experience with the kids, and I feel like, okay, I'm just gonna say it, 3PO should be on this list because like 3PO ends up being their nanny and they're like surrogate mom in a lot of these situations.
3PO is like the ultimate nanny droid in those books.
Yeah.
And
toddler
much
Jason
to his
and
chagrin, he doesn't like
toddler Jason and Jaina end up getting lost on like one of the lowest levels of Coruscant. And like 3PO has to go down and like try to find him. It's really funny.
Oh no.
So yeah, honorable mention to 3PO.
Yep.
May not be a mom, but he's a mom in our hearts.
That's right. he's very motherly in the way he handles things. So
Sometimes. Okay. Oh God, we're like out of time. Who haven't we talked about? Who can we hammer through really quick?
Let's see. We already briefly touched on Ursa. Let's see. Who else can we
I'm
talk
gonna throw in
about?
my favorite current like High Republic mom because there's a
Yeah,
lot of High Republic moms, but like my favorite
by
one
all
is Benu
means.
Angwa. So in the High
I'm
Republic
sorry. What is their
Adventures,
name? I'm
her
sorry.
name is Benu Angwa.
Okay.
I know we haven't talked about Mother Talzin. I know we had an episode on the Night Sisters. We talked about the Night Sisters and Mother Talzin. She's
Wicked.
a prime example. I feel like she's right there with maybe Ursa Wren.
Yeah. Yeah. Bad things.
Um,
Bad things, Mother Talzin.
Benu Angwa was a former like a bodyguard slash assassin for hire in the High Republic, and her daughter ends up taking over the family business for her, and it's wild because like there's this little old woman in these comics who is like this former bodyguard and assassin who absolutely has no issue whatsoever about being an assassin or a bodyguard in her older age. And she shelters her kids and her kid for, to try to protect her kid. But then it's also like, anyway, here are these like heavy artillery rifles, like go save a planet. Like she's wonderful. And she's got this very like wild sense of humor. She's got a really cool house. Benu Angwa is the goat in the High Republic when it comes to moms, in my opinion. She appears in the High Republic Adventures, and in Midnight Horizon, which is the very end of Phase 1, and she comes back in Phase 3. So had to get in there really quick with her.
Yeah.
She's a human. She is a human, and her daughter's name is Alice Angwa, but she goes by Crash. And Crash Angwa, she's becoming way more relevant now in Phase 3. Crash Angwa was based on the writer Crash Wong, who has written all the Dr. Aphra comics.
Love her.
Not all of them. She's written a lot of the Dr.
A
Aphra
lot of them.
comics.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So if you know who Crash Wong is, Crash Wong was the template for Crash Angwa in the High Republic.
Fun. Yeah. She kind of reminds me, now listening to your description, obviously I haven't read that book, but she reminds me of Grandma Ben from the Bone books. Have you ever read Bone?
I know of Bone. I never read them.
Yeah. So there's a woman named Grandma Ben, and she is tough. Like she used to Alyssa Wong or differently.
Her name is Alice, Alys.
Yeah, so it is based on Alyssa Wong. Yes.
Oh, I mean I don't know if it's based on
she's the one that writes the books. Oh, I think is Jamie frozen? Jamie, am I frozen?
I can hear Ashley, but not Jamie.
Okay, so it's Jamie frozen. Sorry, I guess we're both getting our freeze on tonight. But yeah, there you are.
I gotta be honest.
Yeah,
there's a lag on my computer as well, so I hope that this is Mark from behind the scenes. Hi everyone. Hope that I'm not responsible for the slight delay, but
no, you're okay.
We've had from what I could tell, because I have 4 screens going over here. We haven't had any real tech issues throughout the episode, and everyone in the chat is catching up. So, all right, I think we're back on track. Go for it.
Okay, yeah, we're good now. Yeah, I'm so sorry. The confusion, to Lanny's point, Alyssa Wong is the writer. She goes by Crash Wong, as sort of a like her pseudonym or her nickname, I guess.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Alyssa Wong / Crash Wong was the inspiration for Crash Angwa in the High Republic.
That's amazing. Oh, I love them.
Pink
They're
hair and
so
everything.
great.
It's great.
They're so great. I'm really excited about this now, so I can't wait to check that out.
She's a guest writer on some of the High Republic Adventures stuff as well. So like she definitely has contributed to the High Republic, but she's and actually I'm so sorry. I've been using the incorrect pronouns because if I'm not mistaken, Crash goes by they them. So they've been writing for the High Republic as well with DJ Older. So
I love
it's so cool because like they get to not only like use their writing talent and their storytelling talent, but also they get to see their face kind of in the comics too, which I think is really neat. So some good lore there. But yeah, I had to throw Benu Angwa in because I love her. Oh my god, who else didn't we talk about? Because like we are at time, so we may have to revisit
Let's see,
Mother's
let's
Day.
see, let's
Vernestra
see.
Rowe, the mother friend, but we're not going to talk about her right now.
We're gonna do a whole Vernestra Rowe show. So don't worry, we'll get to her. Right in time for the Acolyte.
Right in time for the Acolyte. Yeah, listen, I'm sure that there are so many moms that we haven't really touched on, but the fact of the matter is, I feel like older Star Wars, yes, the theme was always sacrifice, 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 and in a lot of cases, perhaps weren't even written well. Oh, Shakti is the clone's mom. Shakti is one of my favorite Jedi, and I feel like she doesn't get her moment.
Nala
I feel like
Say.
huh?
We could say Nala Say because she helped raise
Yeah.
Omega.
Nala Say, and we haven't even talked about like any of like the female Jedi that end up being the surrogate and honorary moms
Deepa
B'Elaba, to their kids, Luminara. See me after class. I love Luminara. I just feel like Barriss was not set up for success, but that's just me. Anyway, but yeah,
gone with that woman.
Modern Star Wars has, I feel like, done a lot more for the role of the mother, whether it's biological, found, or adopted, or honorary.
Yeah.
So
and we've gotten some incredible ones within the last 10, 15 years. So we should consider ourselves lucky.
We should. And it's nice to see that the representation there.
So between
I'm in a one-way feud with Luminara.
You and me both, Mark. You and me both.
I still love her.
She was
we
all
talk about Luminara.
Yes, she was all set with her Padawan to die. If she dies, she dies. Basically, she went all Draco on Barriss.
I feel like a lot of that is Mirialan cultural. Like I feel
also
like
Jedi because attachments,
and
but at
Jedi.
the same time, it just makes me feel.
I know
icky. I hate it.
It's a very
yeah. Lonnie just said the same.
See, see. There's a lot there's a lot there. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. We have a really solid list of moms. I love them, and the ones that I don't love, I love that they give me as a mother a template of things not to do. But I think that's part of the realism of it, right?
Edie Carn.
There are good moms, there are bad moms, there are supportive moms, there are unsupportive moms, there are, selfless moms, and there are selfish moms. And I think that's part of the reality of both life and Star Wars. So,
what's her face? Ahsoka's mom. We see her briefly.
Oh yeah, where she's like, "Hey, my kid didn't get eaten.
Like I went out on a hunt and my kid was dragged away, but it's the way of life." Anyway,
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I forget. So that's sort of our like little tribute, our little roundup to like these Star Wars moms and how lucky and happy and thankful we are to have them.
Yeah.
So hopefully everybody had a good Mother's Day. You called your mom.
Pavti Tano.
There you go. Pavti Tano. You called your mom, you took your mom out for lunch. You did any of those things. I don't remember. What did I do for Mother's Day? It's been a weird week. So honestly, we did everything very understated this week, but
that's good. Sometimes you just need that.
Oh yeah, we went out for pizza. That's what we did. We had pizza. I got my hair done. That's what I did on Mother's Day.
Legend.
I didn't take my kid to get my hair done, but I did take my kid to go make pizza. It was fun.
That's very
that's
cool.
We do. She's only 2. So but cool. So hopefully y'all had a good Mother's Day.
Jamie, I was going to jump in for a second. Well, sorry. Right as I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go.
What I wanted to say was Happy Mother's Day to you as the mother on the channel. Between the three of us, me, you, and Ashley, you're the mom. But also, and to all the moms,
we're the cat moms.
Chat as well.
Yeah, exactly, and that for sure. And that's
right. Ashley's a cat mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark and I are the cat moms. You're the actual mom, so it's cool.
That's valid. No,
exactly.
It's no judgment. I think anybody
and to everyone in the chat.
Yes, happy Mother's Day, everybody.
I think anybody who steps in to kind of like help raise or guide or comfort somebody through their life, I think that's mother, that's a motherly thing to do. So I love that.
Yeah.
And we're coming up on Father's Day, wherein we'll do an entire dissertation of how Anakin Skywalker was a terrible father. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that.
A whole hour and a half.
Maybe we will.
I'm gonna tell the Unifying Force boys to take that on.
That's gonna be theirs. Yeah, that's on their show.
We gift wrapped
Anyway,
it for you, David. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
we made it real easy for you guys. We gave you a show. That has to be like their response to our Mother's Day episode. I think they have to respond to like our Mother's Day episode with their Father's Day episode. I don't know.
I'm just saying. I think we had the better job.
We could like stick the kids in front of both shows and be like, okay, now go pick your favorite parent. That's terrible. Let's not do that.
I'm gonna message Dave right now.
Don't tell Dave I said that. Don't tell Dave I said that.
And they also
a couple of announcements.
Also, like Owen, Lars, and the Snark. You're welcome, Dave. We got that for you too.
Yeah, but then they also have to talk about like Kanan and I guess the entire Bad Batch.
That's a lot of
and Han Solo.
Yeah.
And
you're welcome.
Obi-Wan in honorary. I don't know. No.
He's honorary dad. We'll count him as an honorary dad.
Right.
But we got some stuff to go over regarding the family vacation, which is coming up very, very soon. Bunta Eve, special edition of Heroes of the Filoniverse, located at the Scum and Villainy Cantina. We got Nelson Lee. We got Pam Riddle and Warren Prue. Lauren Mary Kim, Michelle Lee, Barry Lowen, Marty Matulis. So many awesome people. Leilani and Ariel Shu, our favorites. Misty and Chris. Iad and Galen Howard. Gerald Prescott, newly announced Night Sister. You know her from The Walking Dead. Don Deininger, Tamara Carlson Woodard. Puppeteers, and we just announced today Tate Fletcher, the heavy Mando himself, will be joining us. So make sure you get there if you're going. Congratulations! If not, tickets are sold out. So Bunta Eve Special Edition, The Galaxy's Most Wanted at Biggs in Fullerton. We have the Boba Fett show with Mark Anthony Austin. Let's see. Sorry, Mark. John Dak Morton. He will be there. Aiden Barton. So his first public signing, we have Luke and Leia Skywalker. Can't ask for better. And of course, Sticky Beer will be joining everybody there. And Billy Bryan, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man himself.
I was gonna say, I hope he shows up in the Stay Puft costume.
Yes, please. If you guys get in that.
Waddles in.
And Margaret Apostolos, one of the Ewoks, she'll be there, which is awesome. And at Ireland's 3-2 in San Francisco, we have creators of the Star Wars universe with Hal Hickel, Lauren Vogt, Bill Kimberlin, Kate Sabaker, her first public signing, John Goodson, legendary model maker, and C. Andrew Nelson, who played Darth Vader. Sorry, Mark. I think that's it. Yeah, that's the list.
Yeah, I'd say that's a list. It's a long list.
We got a lot of people going. So if you are going on that vacation, make sure you have some space on your phones for all those pictures you're going to take, because it's going to be legendary.
And just to jump in, because I think based on the timing, oh my God, Celebrating Autographs is coming back in June.
Yes.
So everyone who wants to learn more about each individual signer, the characters they've played, the part of the saga they're in, all that stuff, join us on Mondays.
Get signed. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about cast pieces and all that kind of stuff. Frank, who runs Celebrating Autographs, he and I will be doing the show together on Monday nights in June, taking the spot very temporarily of Rebels Revisited.
Right.
So we'll post all this on the page, of course. We wanted everyone to know.
Yeah, it's exciting. So welcome back, Frank. You guys are going to be covering some awesome stuff. You make sure you get all your cast pieces together and kind of prepare you for the family vacation.
I'll be there in spirit cheering you all on from Florida.
Yes.
Like, hey.
From Massachusetts. Nom, nom, nom.
Cool. Well, friends, family, thanks for hanging out with us. We missed you for the last month. We will be back on our normal schedule now for a little while at least. I know with everything going on with Celebration and people are starting to get hyped and ready for Celebration, the channel will be a little bit not in flux, but things will be kind of moving positions a little bit as we get everybody ready. So thanks for being flexible with that. As always, you know where to find us if you want to chat, if you want to talk books, if you want to talk characters, if you have any recommendations. We love you too.
Love you too, Lonnie.
And yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next time.
May the force be with you guys. See ya.
Yes, and also with you. Bye. Good night, guys.
Bye.